other factor, poor diet perhaps, or...
Well, I think it's a combination of factors, but certainly because we have a great way to screen for precancer, if there's not any access to screening, as we see in women of lower socioeconomics, certainly that would be an increased risk as a result of the access to screening.
Okay. Now, you talked about HPV.
Yes.
And maybe we can talk a little bit further about that. And you mentioned that there were certain viruses within that family of viruses that could potentially lead to cervical cancer.
That's right.
Are there suggestions that you can make that may help reduce someone's risk of transmitting that virus?
Well, the human papillomavirus typically has no obvious symptoms in the genital area. It can't. Certain members of the family can cause warts, but that's not those aren't the members that are causing problems on the cervix. Okay. So it is a sexually transmitted infection. So if you absolutely want to have zero risk, you have to have zero sex. Period. That's the first thing, exactly. If we're going to talk about risk reduction, what we recommend is that people carefully select their partners. Hopefully the partner will have no other partners or few partners, but of course that's not a guarantee because it only takes one. And condom use. So with every sexual act, the use of condoms. Condoms will reduce transmission, but two are not a guarantee. The condom will only protect that area that's covered. So women can still get the virus, perhaps other strains, perhaps that strain, in different areas.
Okay. Now, you've stressed also the importance of screening, and what we said earlier is that this is one of those cancers, and there are very few, that can actually not only be prevented, but if it does develop, potentially even be cured.
That's right.
How is it detected? How do we find out? How would a woman, or, I mean, again, we're speaking cervical cancer, but certainly this is a virus that men can be impacted by as well. But for the moment, how would a woman become aware of that?
Well, really it's through a pap smear. And we saw in really the middle of the last 1900s, the number of cervical cancer cases decreased by 74%. Really due to the pap smear. Exactly. Exactly. So you need to go to a doctor or a clinician and get your annual female exam. Okay.
And at what age does that begin, that screening process? What age is the recommendation for when women should start?
There's not any cookie cutter that I can give you here. The guidelines are as follows. We look to start the first pap smear somewhere between 2 and 3 years after the first sexual activity, the sexual experience, or by age 21, whichever one comes first. And then we screen every year or every other year, depending upon which kind of pap smear we're doing. We have liquid-based and we have glass slide. And we do that up until age 30. And of course, I'm talking about people with an intact immune system with no other risk factors. By age 30, if all of the pap smears have been completely normal, at that point we can go to perhaps every 2 or 3 years, up until about age 65 or 70, at which point we talk with our physicians and we decide if it's time to stop, provided that every single pap smear has been normal. And I just want to add, Colleen, that the decision to have pap smears every second or third year does not preclude having a physical exam every year. We still need to get checked out. We still need to be looked at. We still need to have those kinds of discussions every single year.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, when I do want to touch on the importance of screenings and for women who may not have the capacity to afford those screenings. But before we get there, I'd like to just back up for 1 second. When we talk about HPV and the screenings required, and that helps to detect that as well, can you tell us a little bit about the vaccine that's come out recently?
There is a vaccine that will protect women against some of the strains, some of the members of that family from causing damage. And so the vaccine is recommended for young girls, 11 to 12, but it can be given up to women age 26. And it's a series of 3 shots over the course of 6 months. And it really has been very effective in preventing these precancerous changes that we see for those particular strains. It doesn't mean that other strains can't get infected. It doesn't mean that other areas of the body, like we were saying, plantar warts, genital warts, it may not protect against every single kind. The vaccine that's currently out protects against some of the strains we know that are associated with cervical cancer and some of the strains that are associated with genital warts at this point.
Great. Thanks for the clarification on that. if a woman has come in for a pap smear and you do actually detect HPV, is there resources in place that you would actually treat there at the Women's Health and Counseling Center, or what would be the follow-up to that?
It's a good question. I'll clarify a little bit by saying we don't always test women for HPV because HPV is so prevalent and only rarely causes problems. What we do is look for changes in the cells of the cervix that the virus infects. If it looks like there are changes in the cervix, sometimes we do test for HPV, sometimes we don't. It just depends upon what the results are.
Okay.
But once there is an abnormality, the next step would be something called a colposcopy. And that's really just a giant microscope that looks at the cells of the cervix. The doctor would do that, and we certainly do that at the Women's Health and Counseling Center.
Okay.
Sometimes we take biopsies if we see areas that are abnormal, and we send them to the laboratory. Based on those results, we can either elect to just repeat the pap smear if the results are not so severe. On the other hand, if the results are severe, we then refer to a specialist who will effectively treat these cells so that a woman will never develop the cancerous changes that you talked about in the earlier part of the program.
Okay, great.
Exactly.
Great, thank you.
So again, it's all about early detection and early treatment.
Speaking about screenings, May, I'd like to welcome you as well, and thank you so much for joining us. Women's Health and Counseling, I know, has been around for quite some time and provides an incredible service to the women of Somerset County. And I'm just wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what those services are.
Well, Women's Health and Counseling provides medical services in the way of the family planning services. And the family planning services are any of the services that you and I would get at our private GYN's office. Pap smear, breast exams. If we needed to have a colposcopy for an abnormal pap, we're able to provide those services as well. Sending and referring individuals out for the mammographies, all of the regular GYN health that is provided in our GYN's office. We don't do any type of prenatal care or OB care. Individuals who come in and are patients who have a positive pregnancy test, we give them referrals outside for the obstetrical care, and then they return to us after the baby has been born. The other services that we provide are primary care services. And primary care, anything that you'd go and see your primary for colds and lumps and bumps, tummy aches, any of those types of services we are able to provide at Women's Health and Counseling Center. When we get out of the medical part, we have the screening part. And the screening that we do is a program called SEED, Cancer Education and Early Detection. And that is a county-wide program that provides cancer screening for individuals who are let me talk to Somerset County. Somerset County resident, an individual who is uninsured or underinsured, they may have some insurance, but not enough to provide preventive or screening services. Or an individual who might meet the financial eligibility by being 250% below the federal poverty guidelines. So a family that might have 3 individuals making $43,000 a year would be able to qualify for the SEED program. Now, with the SEED program, we do cancer screening such as cervical, that you were just talking to Dr. Prater about. We also do breast, a woman who needs to be referred out for mammography. We do males, prostate cancer screening. And we also do colorectal screening for both males and females. So we do a variety of cancer screenings under the SEED program. And because it is a county program, is provided by the state, but it's in each county. What we do is we provide the services in Somerset County for Somerset County residents. Let's say someone living in Middlesex County, they could go to their Middlesex County SEED program. Union County also has a SEED program. So it is provided for each county.
Excellent. And we'll be sure to have that phone number as well at the end of the program.